some bits between. Are we back? No, it's showing. No, maybe yes. It's showing some connection now. I hope we're back. Sorry, everyone. It's. Oh, it is not connecting well. It's not me. It's not me this time. I swear. I did the speed test. It's all fine. Oh, it's coming back. I think it's coming back. Yeah, I think we're
Yeah,
good.
I
Okay, there
see
we
you
go.
live now.
Okay. Okay. Anyways, so the things that we can do to establish the scale, I like the composition that you have in this thumbnail here with the ground. I can tell you're doing this really extreme 3-point perspective with like kind of a fisheye lens. I think that the slightly flatter ground actually serves this really well. It's running, it's reconnecting again. It's I don't see a lot of it though being used here.
Yeah, it was really too.
Anything that's bright will still like come through. So it's not going to make your bright things dingier. It'll just make your shadows brighter. And so like using the light here is still very viable, and you can have the light reflecting off of parts of the figure, and that'll all work. And it's just a matter of bringing these shadows in a little lighter, and you could maybe even darken some of the area down here so that you have a nice transition running from like bottom to top to really show like as we're going up and away from the viewer, we get this like transition over a distance. That always makes a big difference, I think. But it's going to be, this design is going to be a little tough having these really bright crystals running kind of counter to that overall scheme. So personally, I think that bringing them down a little bit might have helped with that. Just neutralizing them a little bit, and then maybe just using some glowing effects in like a slightly more sparing way, just to create variation within like a generally darker, richer shape here. A lot of tweaking of the values is what I'm recommending for something like this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you so much. I will definitely try to use more grayscale.
Yes.
Push it more at first, because it's true I don't do it, but I try next time.
Whether you're doing grayscale or you're starting in color, solving the values early is still the right choice, because trying to make these kind of changes later, once you've made a bunch of precise edges and you've done a surface detail and all that kind of thing, it feels like you're going backwards. It feels like you just feel stuck, you feel lost, you're not sure if the changes you're making are helping. It's a bad feeling. And so establishing this early and getting that uncertainty out of the way early is going to make your life so much better. I guarantee it.
Yeah, clearly a bad habit. I have to, yeah.
Well, good luck. And thanks for doing the homework this week.
Thank you so much. Have a great day or night.
All
I
right.
don't know.
Thank you, Jade. All right. We got Platinum. Is Platinum here? Platinum is not here. I'm going to just move on. And Trisagian, is Trisagian also not here? Oh, no. We've got two people that aren't here. We got 20 minutes left. I have a hard out in 20 minutes. I'm going to say a couple of nice things about these two pieces, and then I'm going to open it up to like see if, and then look at someone's work with them, somebody who's here in the chat. Trisagian, if you're catching the VOD on this, the stream has come back. Comcast has unyoinked my internet cable. It's excellent. This is a really cool piece. I love all of the design work that you've put into this. I saw the version without the background as well. I didn't get a chance to read through the whole comment, but you did say, main thing, I'm not real confident in the background/environment, though I enjoyed painting it. I wonder if you're in a similar situation as what I was talking about with Sean, which is that I think, you know, it's okay for something to just be a piece of concept art without having to do a huge, elaborate painted background, especially for a weekly challenge. A lot of you are putting a tremendous amount of work into these. And while I appreciate all the work that you're doing, I'm always preaching efficiency. And one of the big efficiencies here is to keep the pieces focused on the work, that the important parts of the work. You have some really big ideas with this character design. And if all of the budget of your work was going into showing them in the fullest possible light in the most flattering way without worrying about creating this giant epic scope, I think you would have a stronger piece. And so the reason I'm giving that critique, it sounds a little hard coming out, is because I love all of the design work that you're doing on this very strange, godlike monster design. And I would just want to see like a biggest, boldest version of it possible. If you want to do a big environmental piece like this also, do that also. But like, I want to see all the chips pushed towards the character here. So thank you so much for doing the homework. I'm sorry I didn't get to see you during the chat here. Platinum, I mean, this is right up my alley, right? Unfortunately, couldn't finish. This is a crazy amount of work to have done. I had a couple of really precise notes for you that I'm hoping are helpful. One of them is the horizon line. I think that with this kind of piece, having done this kind of illustration many times myself, I say that like anywhere, having the horizon line anywhere in this zone is kind of a danger of just having the horizon line be kind of too awkwardly through the middle. We're looking pretty upwards at the upper part of the figure here. You have this slope to the shoulders. You have this upward look at the figure's face. We even have a little bit of a tilt on the hips here. I honestly think that the horizon line for this character is down here. The way that you have the perspective lined up on the figure, I think comfortably you have the horizon line down here, and I think it makes a better composition. You can bring all the splashes up this high around him, but I just think that the horizon line's down there, and I think it's going to make your life easier. I think you're going to feel better about it. I think it's going to make a better, stronger composition. So I'd move that horizon line. And then the other point I wanted to make is we were talking earlier about reference. Cosmo and I were talking about the order which you do reference in. What I can see in here is you're doing a lot of anatomy from imagination. You are building your pose out from imagination. I think that the gesture of this pose is great. I think all of the weirdness to the anatomy is a good thing, but you have a couple of points where the anatomy is starting to strain. Your ability to come up with anatomy out of your imagination is strained at a couple of points here. I think that these hands are a little bit weaker than some of your other hands, and that I think the face is looking a little, it's lacking like a layer of nuance. I really like the underlit look to it, but it doesn't feel like it's fully solid, fully there. And I know you can take it a step further because of how much attention you have to your rendering and to your detail. So what I would do in this situation, what I've done in this situation many times, is I will get to a point of finish that's not too far off from this, where it's pretty near the end. And that's when I pull in, 5 facial references and I put them all around this guy's head. And I have that on a layer and I keep them all up and I go and I finish the face in context with looking at like a bunch of different references. And then the same thing for the hands. I find the perfect hand reference for the pose that I want to do, and I take the roughly drawn hand that I've done and I redraw it and I repaint the whole thing based off of having a variety of reference around it. And so I put all the reference around here. People use Pure Ref for a lot of the stuff, and I redraw the hands. And getting those final nuanced details on things like faces and hands or any kind of effects like feathers, waves, getting it in at this stage or slightly earlier will do tremendous things to the level of polish you're able to do in your work, because the stuff you're doing out of your imagination right now is so strong that if you could bring in that layer of reference right here at the end, you kill it. You'll absolutely kill it. All right. Thanks for joining us this week. I am going to pull somebody up. Let's see. Who's here? I saw Lens is someone who I don't recognize. And I saw that they had done the homework. I was thinking about bringing them up, but I wasn't sure if they were here. So I'm going to pull Lens's piece in because we still got some time. I still got time before I need to run away. All right, let's see. Pull Lens into the chat. Hello? Hello, Lens. Are you there? You have a mic?
Hi,
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm
Thank you.
doing great. Well, welcome to the chat. I'm pulling you in as bonus because I got a little bit of time here. Thanks for doing the homework this week.
Yeah, no problem. It was an interesting task.
Tell me about your experience with the work this week.
Um, um, I have to remember because it was like 8 days ago. But I'm actually very happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the ideas I wanted to convey, I did. I like it how I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I sort of wanted to turn the hairs into like a rainbow that then turn into the clouds, and
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like how it worked out.
Great.
Yeah,
Um,
actually very happy.
where do you feel like you were struggling the most?
Probably with adding detail to the character.
Yeah.
Like, but maybe I like have to do more anatomy. I think that's the.
Well,
I haven't done much anatomy, so yeah.
okay. My recommendation on the anatomy side of things is that it's all going to happen at the beginning of the painting. I personally, I like to do all of the big choices with the anatomy and getting the gesture of the body worked out, like as the very, very first thing before I do it in pencil before I even get it into the computer and start doing any painting.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of times where people will do like they'll do kind of a blob block in. They do like a solid silhouette, and then it'll
Yeah.
get like refined into like a rendered piece over time. Is that something similar to what you're doing?
No, I actually I started with a line drawing,
Okay.
a sketch. But yeah, it's also a problem when I transition from the line drawing or the sketch to like the painting,
Mm-hmm.
my character always looks very off. I don't always very weird. Yeah.
Well, I recommend taking some extra time with the original drawing and making sure that you have the character exactly the way that you want before you start committing to a lot of rendering on top of it. Oftentimes, I'll even take a sketch and I'll start lassoing pieces of it and moving it around to try to fix problems, because lassoing some line work and fixing issues with like anatomy and perspective is so much easier than trying to have to fix the gaps with like a painting that's in progress. And so the sooner that you can get those kind of corrections made and feel like it's exactly what you want, like the easier the whole rest of the work is going to get. And I have a feeling that when it comes to even doing things like lighting on your character, you're just going to have a far easier time when the drawing feels solid to you and you don't have any lingering questions about it.
Yeah, thanks.
I do have a piece of feedback about this, though, and it's about the composition. I think there's a lot of ideas about composition, about like how it's supposed to work and what you're supposed to do. But the thing that people always come back to is this general idea of balance in composition, and there's a lot of ways to define it. But the issue I feel like you're having with compositional balance is evident when you look at this kind of split down the middle. On this side, we have all like darker background and very few like light colors or like this light yellow and like the brighter blues. They only exist on the left side of the background. And then all of these darker colors and all the brown from the rocks and the red from the hair are all on the right side. And so we end up with kind of two different color palettes, two different compositions separated from each other. A very common solution to this sort of thing happening that I would see people do is, say, like, you have a character with big flowing hair and you really want to put them somewhere near the middle of the page. You would end up, that's where you end up with these big S-shaped sweeps like this, right? Where the hair starts to like kind of sweep over and come across the composition like this. This is really to solve the issue of, can we have some of this color a little bit on the left side? Can we have some of it on the right? You know, can we bring a sense of balance throughout the composition? So bringing some of these colors that are on the right side over to the left. And then the same thing is if we had some of these clouds, these bright backlit clouds overlapping the character, bringing some of that over on the right side so that we have some balance between those. One of the ways that I've liked to think about balance in a composition is not that it literally needs to have like the same amount of yellow on the left and then you need to like duplicate it all and have it be a perfect mirror. Obviously, that's not the right answer. Instead, I want to think about it like a seesaw, like a balance. So we have a lot of yellow over here in the middle, and this is like a ball on a seesaw that's weighing downwards. And then we need to have some place that's going to have equal leverage. And so if we put a bunch of yellow, a smaller amount of yellow over on this side, then the weight of the two are going to balance against each other. So the closer to the middle, the more you can kind of like put that color in there.
Okay,
And then as you get close to the edge, you don't need quite as much. And so if you think about this like a seesaw, then it's like if we wanted to add some of this orange in here, maybe we don't even do the hair, but maybe we have some orange colors inside the clouds, then we can balance that across the seesaw with some orange over here.
Okay. Is this like only about color, or is it like also about value?
Values as well.
Such?
You can actually think about it in terms of anything. You can think about it in terms of any specific color, like an accent color. You can think about it in terms of values. You can think about it in terms of the balance of like warm versus cool, or high detail, areas of detail. Like your composition is going to have like some areas of higher detail and some areas of rest. And so you can think about the balance of those across this seesaw as well. All the different ways you can measure a piece, you can think about in terms of balancing it left to right, or also up and down by the same principle. And so when I'm thinking about composition, if I feel something is off, I'm often trying to figure out like what are the important elements, like is it color, is it value, is it detail, and like how are they distributed across this top to bottom, left to right? How do they feel balanced with each other? And that usually leads me to making some big changes of like where elements, like what are the character, where elements are. I'll even change the cropping some. So like you could bring the character a little bit more centered by adding a little bit more composition, a little bit more frame to the right. So if you were to extend the piece out, you might be able to compose it more in a more balanced way. Bring some of these colors over here and bring them over into an additional part on the right side of the canvas might be something. Or, you can make it more square and then add some other elements. There's an infinite number of ways to do it right, and there's an infinite number of ways to do it wrong. Which is the reason why it always seems so vague when people talk about it. They say, oh, balance, and, but they don't really like illuminate a lot of specific methods because there's any number of ways to get it right. But you can definitely tell when it's not quite working. And like I think you have a really extreme example of having like pieces of this design elements and colors exclusively on like one half of a composition altogether, and then another one on another half, and it really creates this like left and right kind of feeling to it.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for me while I've got you? I've just got a couple more minutes here.
Yeah, about the clouds. So I
Mm-hmm.
like how they turned out in the end.
Yeah, me too.
I like the colors. But I don't really have any like plan while doing it. Like it was like trial and error.
Yeah.
So okay.
It's also, I
Um
would call it play.
okay.
I think playing with it, having fun with it is good. And
Yeah.
it seems like if you didn't have a lot of experience with it and you were just playing and you got these results, it seems like, something you're kind of good at.
Okay.
Um, you will have successes and failures, but I think that if you know that you can do it by playing around with it, then you should keep playing with it, keep having fun with it. If if I was going to change anything about the clouds, you have this lens effect.
Yeah.
That is it a filter?
Uh no, it's no filter. It's a brush.
Oh, it's a brush.
Yeah, I
I
think I
I
can't
don't think
remember.
that lens flares look very natural in a painting under any
Okay.
circumstances. So whether you're making it from scratch or you're using a filter or you're using a brush,
Uh,
I would skip on lens flares. Uh, uh,
okay.
these concentric circles that we see coming away from the point of
Yeah.
light. It's something that's very familiar in film language, but in this case, we can use a lot of terminology related to film and photography to describe like the field of view and like the angle that we're seeing things from. But I think
Yeah.
emulating a lens by showing these reflections from inside of a non-existent camera, I think it's a little too much. So
Okay.
I think that having effects to show glare, like I like to show like smears of color or like, glowing halos. I think that those are all good, but I would use the language of painting rather than use the language of
Yeah. Okay.
photography when you're trying to show something like a bright glare from the sun.
Yeah, I think it was like a last minute addition because I liked it on the reference.
Was it a
So,
reference photo or was it a painting?
reference photo.
Okay, yeah. No, it makes sense. I'm just giving you, my old man advice here. It's like my
Okay.
classic advice. I had some paintings early on that had some lens flares in it, so I was like looking for a little something extra, last minute
Hmm.
addition, and I think it's something that everybody tries at least a little bit, and then everybody, as they get a little more experienced, goes, "Don't do that."
Okay. I can see that.
All right, great. Well, thank you for doing the homework
Thanks.
this week. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping on my way out the door here, and I'll see you around.
Yeah. See ya.
All right,
Bye.
bye. All right. So I don't have a class next week because I'm going to be at Anime Milwaukee. If anybody is going to be in the Wisconsin area and wants to like come and to Anime Milwaukee and say hi to me at my table, you're welcome to come by and say hi and chat with me. I'm there to talk with people. So if it's something that you're already in the area, feel free to come by and see me. I am going to be traveling and setting up on next Thursday, and so I'm not going to be able to make it. I There's something on my calendar for the following week. I'm not sure what the whole situation is, so I don't have an assignment for you guys this week. I'm going to drop an announcement once I know when the next one of these is happening. But unfortunately, there's a brief hiatus that's being planned right now. I am thinking a lot about streaming recently just because I have been getting back to painting more and I've been thinking and making more video. I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've been posting like short form videos on my Instagram, and I've been starting to use TikTok for the first time in a while. And I've been enjoying the heck out of it. And so doing some live video stuff feels totally sensible in light of me sharing more about my own art process on video stuff. And then I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing. I think I want to keep doing this class, but I'm not sure what's going on right now. And if I'm going to be traveling on and off over the course of the rest of the year, and it's going to like make my Thursdays not happen, I might just change the day that I'm doing something like this. But anyways, the final thing, Huckleberry released its first course ever, the Sean Andrew Murray sketchbook course. I know Dustbot is already in it. We've been making some adjustments based off of user feedback. We changed the price. We changed it from being drip fed over the course of 8 weeks to being you get the whole thing the day one when you buy it. It's something that we put a lot of work into, and that I think is a really good course. And I'm going to be trying to promote the hell out of it. And anyone who wants to, like, even if you're not interested in buying it, if you could just help get the word out that this thing exists. The URL for it is drawingwithsean.com. Sean Andrew Murray is a great artist. He's better at drawing than I am, and like his sketchbook course is really focused on the kind of creativity that we're talking about in this course, in this weekly class. It's drawing from imagination, and I think he's done a really good job on this thing. So check out drawingwithsean.com, and I'm gonna just pop it in the Twitch chat here. And yeah, and if you are feeling generous and want to like spread the word of this URL, just spray it on the side of a mountain, just use a laser beam to carve it into the moon, whatever. That'd be helpful. So if you got one of those handy, please feel free. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I'm sorry I don't have an announcement, like an assignment, an announcement for the next class, but I will be in touch, and I'll see you guys around. Have a good one. Goodbye.